Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. My name is Mikhail Tinubu and I am not in the best of moods, I have to tell you. I feel like this season, I'm a Chelsea fan. Most of you know I am a Chelsea fan, but this season I feel like I am a Tottenham fan. It's not been an easy one. I don't think I've ever witnessed a season quite like this one. And to have a club legend at the helm, I'm not blaming Frank Lampard for what's been going on. The problem precedes his appointment, and regardless of his efforts, it's probably the rot is probably so deep rooted that there's little an inexperienced manager such as him can probably do to alleviate the problem. We need to get to the end of the season. We need a new manager. Pochettino has been tipped to take over. My biggest concern is, why has it taken so long? Why are the owners taking so long? They were so quick to hire Graham Potter when it was clear to everyone else that he was most likely going to fail at the job, but they took him on anyway. Now we have a manager who's very experienced in Mauricio Pochettino, and we're taking 3 weeks to appoint him. There's been a quote-unquote verbal agreement, and yet no formal announcement has come about. Talks about a general board meeting in Los Angeles to decide, because some people are split over the decision whether to hire him. My question is, who are you going to hire? Zinedine Zidane isn't planning to come to the Premier League anytime soon. So what's the delay? Mauricio Pochettino, Julian Nagelsmann, Luis Enrique. Hire any one of them. Just hire someone. And let's get started on the rebuild that Chelsea desperately needs. Thiago Silva came out recently and talked about how the dressing room is overcrowded, so much so that certain players are getting dressed in the hallways. The players don't talk to each other after the matches because they don't see a plan ahead of the horizon. They don't see anything coming up for them to feel comfortable, considerable about, to be talking and patting each other on the back and telling each other it's all going to be okay. As a Chelsea fan, I don't feel like any of it is going to be okay. None of it has been okay. And I am way past blaming the players. I am even past blaming the manager in Graham Potter, although Graham Potter definitely takes a lot of the blame. I mean, why would you leave Aubameyang on the bench for months and months? The couple of times he has played, we have seen, even though he's rusty, even though he's clearly not going to play his best, we've seen that the team is able to coalesce around a center forward, a reference point. That has not been the case for most of the season with Kai Havertz, even with a bad form, playing every game under Graham Potter. I don't know how that man could have ever been rated as a good manager, even managing at Brighton. Brighton are doing way better right now under De Zerbi than they ever did under him. They're playing better football. Some of the tactical upgrades, shall we say, that De Zerbi has brought into the squad, even Pep Guardiola's learning from it and copying it, and yet we hired Graham Potter. It just tells you that inexperience in a new league, in a new sport, can be an Achilles heel. We went into this season feeling very optimistic, and now we just want the season to be over. Anyway, I am joined on the line by Gboyega. Gbenga, good evening.
It was quite interesting listening to the lamentations of Mikhail Book 2. You know, as a neutral, you would almost feel sorry for Chelsea as a club. Like you said, I'll just pick one part of what you said. We've gone past the blame game. As a matter of fact, personally, I was never part of the blame game. Yes, I was pointing holes at bad decisions from the owner. Todd Boehly is still the one who would take the highest or the chunk of the entire blame. But we are past the blame game, right? It's now about what actually is wrong with this Chelsea side. So some people are beginning to give the excuse of, okay, this is a club that has experienced success in the past 19 plus years, right? So this is like a bloop in over 2 decades. Should we be alarmed? Right, they've won virtually everything, including the Champions League, including the FIFA Club World Cup, including the Premier League about twice or three times in the last 10 years.
Europa
They've
twice.
also won domestic clubs. So
Yeah.
it's looking like this turmoil is just one in a blue moon, which is what I'm trying to look at, and it's really sad for Chelsea as
I
a
mean,
whole.
like you're saying, it's to be expected when a club or any organization, any institution goes in one direction, which is we are all about winning, we're all about success, and we will fire managers, even managers who win the FA Cup, we'll fire them at the end of the season if they don't win the Champions League. We're going to fire a manager if he doesn't win anything at all. No matter how good he is, no matter what kind of project he's starting to establish. And at one point, we said we wanted attacking football. Then we started to get managers in the door that were trying to build an attacking culture. As soon as that took root, they were fired because they didn't win a trophy. So I understand that at a certain point you go in a completely opposite direction. You try to stick it out with a manager as inexperienced as Graham Potter is, and you try to hope for the best that at the very least the club will not get relegated. The club will not finish middle of the table. The club will not finish so far out of the top four running that it becomes such an embarrassment, a humiliation every game, every single game now. No one expects Chelsea to win. How bad can things get that a club with the reputation, with the stature, with the winning mentality that Chelsea traditionally had, that they would be at this point in their history? And sure, it's a new direction for them, but to go so 180, I can't wait for them to complete the rotation, the revolution, and get back moving in the right direction, complete the 360 degree and move up the table. But none of that is going to happen this season. We gave up on top four like 2 months ago.
I mean, Chelsea have been on 30 points since February. Let's paint that fact. Like, they climbed 30 in February and they are still in 39, and this is May. So 9 points in 3 plus months. Chelsea have scored one goal in 2 months. Chelsea have lost 6 in 6. And now I'm not painting this stats to begin to give heartbreak to Chelsea fans. I'm just painting results of bad decision. So again, I don't think sacking of manager should be the instinct or should be the first point of call. Because I mean, again, I would quote throughout Abramovich's era, he never appointed three managers in one season. Never. He never appointed three managers in a calendar year. But under Todd Boehly, he has seen four managers, and Lampard is surely going to go, which means he's going to see the fifth manager come next season. Is sacking really the solution? Is a new manager really the solution? There is something deeper than just changing the dugout, because we've seen four different changes this season, and it's gone worse.
Well, people
Who
have
is to say
talked.
that Pochettino?
People have talked
Who?
about
Okay.
the squad is over bloated. 33 players is too difficult for any single manager to manage. I still insist that you bring in Jose Mourinho, and he will pick his first 11, he'll pick his second 11, and send the rest out on loan or to the under 23 squad, or he will sell them outright. But that didn't happen in January, and Graham Potter, bless his soul. I mean, at this point, he might as well be dead. Bless his soul. He could not figure out who to play in number 9. Kai Havertz could not get his game together, and he still. It would be one thing if he benched Aubameyang because there was a falling out. That was never the report. They just refused to play the man. He could have been, at the very least, a makeshift number 9, capable of helping us get to the end of the season, at which point we would be vying for the Victor Osimhen's, the Goncalo Ramoses. But that's not what happened. Instead, we stuck with a player who isn't a traditional number nine, a player who wasn't scoring regularly, a player who couldn't even drop deep and do the normal things that he is supposed to be able to do, which is play as a number 10, which is bring other players into the fold, create chances. None of that was happening. Graham Potter was the worst mistake Chelsea have ever made. And I am not old enough to know the history of this club to the very origin of it. And yet I can say that, and I know every old head in Chelsea's fan base can attest to it. Graham Potter is the worst manager, worst mistake any owner and at any time in the history of this club has ever made.
So what will you say about Lampard?
Frank Lampard is Frank Lampard. He's a club icon. You leave him be. Now, let's move on from Chelsea. I think I'm done talking about
Okay.
Chelsea. Talking about Chelsea is like talking about the economy in Nigeria. It's just woeful. Paris Saint-Germain forward Lionel Messi will not have his contract renewed at the club following an unauthorized trip to Saudi Arabia. French sports daily L'Equipe reported on Tuesday, May 2nd. Messi signed an optional third season clause in his contract when he first arrived in 2021. Club officials have decided not to activate it, the report said. The 35-year-old was suspended for 2 weeks on Tuesday, L'Equipe added, as he was supposed to practice with his team following a 3-1 defeat at home against Lorient in Ligue 1 on Sunday, but instead flew to Saudi Arabia. Must be nice. Fans at the PSG shop, along with the Champs Elysees, on Wednesday, May 3rd, didn't seem too upset by his likely departure, calling him old and expressing disappointment that he couldn't win them the Champions League. The Argentina World Cup winner is banned from playing or training with the team, and his pay will be docked during his suspension. Where did it all go wrong? Lionel Messi came to Paris with all of the pomp and fanfare you would expect for such a legend of the game. I never thought he was going to be the magic bullet that would seal the Champions League for them, but they certainly hoped he would be. I always said Lionel Messi, especially at his age when he was leaving Barcelona, this wasn't Lionel Messi prime years. I always said he would struggle in another league. Maybe people would have expected that he would do better than he has at Paris Saint-Germain in Ligue 1, a league that is traditionally referred to as a farmers' league. That said, Lionel Messi did score some important goals. He did create plenty of assists. But still, it wasn't enough. And at a club like Paris Saint-Germain, it's like Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Regardless of how often you win the league, it's not enough if you don't win the Champions League. And if you blip and slip and don't win the league convincingly, then every question will be raised under the sun. Why exactly as the honeymoon period? Because for me, I always thought this was a publicity stunt. This was just a way to get people excited and definitely to sell jerseys. So why has it all gone so wrong?
He went wrong for Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United, despite the fact that he didn't really have a total disaster of a season with them. I mean, his first season back, he got 18 goals, the highest in the team. He was actually their best player, literally
That was
getting the
just in the
draws and
league,
the
though.
wins for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that was just in the league, but to an extent, he made Manchester United something last season. I mean, they will have been totally out of Europe like they almost were this season, if not for Cristiano Ronaldo. Although the new season threw a different thing. But it can happen to anybody, right? It
yeah.
has happened to stars before. So the point now is good decision by the club. I mean, you are under contract. You have no right to, you know, usurp permission and just go on holiday during the season. It's not yet the summer, right? It's not yet, you're not allowed to. No, we understand that, okay, it's 6 months to the end of your contract and you can discuss with other parties, but you cannot physically leave
The
your
club
club
without permission.
when, I mean, Exactly, and it had repercussions because I think they lost or drew their last game, and they had 2 days break, and there were a lot of disjointment in the team. So it has repercussions. His absence brought good decision by the club.
Mm,
A lot of talk about him going back to Barcelona. I don't see that happening. There are reports that Saudi Arabia want to bring him in to join Cristiano Ronaldo, that fairy tale ending to their career,
mm,
and kind of bring attention to the Saudi Pro League. But all in all, I think Messi has done what Messi would have done in football.
mm,
Whatever he's going to do now, he should just do it for himself. He
mm.
doesn't need all this paparazzi. He doesn't need to be in the headlines for the wrong reasons. He really doesn't need it. He hasn't
Well,
won the Champions
you
League.
know, it's not unheard of players taking off, especially players who are at a legendary status, especially when they don't have the kind of connection with the club as Messi had with Barcelona. Last season, we definitely saw that Cristiano Ronaldo left Manchester United on a number of occasions. Certainly, he took permission from the club. He went back to Portugal. He went back to Madrid for family reasons, for business reasons, for whatever reasons he gave the club. He chose to travel and he was given permission to do so. In Messi's case, that doesn't seem to have been what happened. There was an expectation he was supposed to be at the club. There was an expectation he was supposed to train with the club. There was an expectation that they needed to prepare for the next game because this is the final run-in of the season, and they don't clearly feel as secure as they would like to be in potentially winning the league title. And him leaving just seemed to be a slap in the face of Paris Saint-Germain. My biggest surprise is that the PSG hierarchy aren't willing to put up with it. I mean, they've certainly put up with a lot from Kylian Mbappe. They've put up with a lot from Neymar. But Lionel Messi, some people say he's the greatest player that has ever laced up boots and touched the beautiful football. How is it that he's the one who doesn't get an exception? How is he the one that they go, final straw, we're not going to allow this go any further? Certainly, at his age, you know what they say about old dogs not learning new tricks? Maybe they just reasoned that there was no way back for Lionel Messi at Paris Saint-Germain in any capacity that they could be certain they could keep him in line, especially with all the news that has come out recently about his future. Oh, he might be going back to Barcelona. Oh, Al Hilal wants to bring him to Saudi League for 400 million euros. A lot has been said about his future, and there's been this prolonged delay in um, finally resolving whether he's going to stay at Paris Saint Germain or not. I think Paris Saint Germain just felt like they had gotten the best they were ever going to get from him, and if he wasn't going to win them the Champions League, making money off of his jersey sales isn't the thing that Paris Saint-Germain are about. The owners have plenty of money. They don't mind throwing it away, and they've certainly thrown away plenty of it over the years in pursuit of Champions League football.
It's literally sheds more light on that adage that says the rich also cry. Because you look at certain clubs that have had certain issues this season. Look at Bayern Munich, for example, flying high in the Champions League, 100% record, top of the Bundesliga. Boom, you sack your coach. There's problem in the dressing room. You bring in a Thomas Tuchel that is now looking like a bad decision. Look at Barcelona at in La Liga. They are just 2 points away from winning their 27th La Liga title. 11 goals conceded in the league. Wonderful. Unbeaten in Camp Nou throughout the league. Wonderful. But look at what they did in Europe. A total disaster. Dropped to the Europa League and also dropped out. Right? Look at PSG, for example. They are top of the League One with 5 points over second place team. But there is trouble in paradise. So there are big teams that are occupying first position in their league, but all is not really well. And the problem is why? Thomas Tuchel said it. When I was at PSG, I was not just coaching the players, I was also coaching their girlfriends, I was coaching their lifestyle, I was coaching their family. That is what we are beginning to see. PSG is beyond a football club with football players. It's looking like a football club franchise with superstars. And that's what it is. All the players we've mentioned so far, Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, they are the superstars. And they are the one bringing the drama to the team. So probably it's time for one or two of them to go, which could be Messi and Neymar, because Mbappe is looking like the culture of the club. So
Gbenga,
Messi should move on.
PSG haven't adopted the formula that Chelsea have adopted, that Manchester City have adopted. Even Real Madrid, the team known for their Galacticos model of signing big name players, which is to groom youngsters from the academy and mix them with the big names in the first team. And should a time come when the big names are too big for the dressing rooms, when they are moved on, these players can potentially, these youngsters can potentially be the linchpins of the future, with one or two future major purchases brought in to spice up the dressing room. Paris Saint-Germain have not gone in that direction. Every season they go after big names. And there aren't many big names left in the game. That's just the problem. Erling Haaland is in Manchester City, and in a couple years he might end up in Madrid. Kylian Mbappe in a couple years might end up in Madrid. Where is the next global superstar going to come from? The kind of player that is going to sell £100 million worth of jersey in his first season? Is any of that? It seems like they are going to have to take a step back from that model very soon, doesn't it?
Of course they have, because first of all, aside from the era of Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, there is no other, in quote, superstar in their category that has churned out the level of consistency over decades of footballing career. So if they are going to still stick with trying to get, in quotes now, what Real Madrid had, the Galacticos, where would they get that from? Is it Mbappe? How many years has Mbappe spent on the top? Haaland, how many years has Haaland spent on the top? And like we said, Haaland is still going to be a Man City player for the time being. So probably that their focus should now change from getting the names to actually getting the players, because your fans are tired of winning the Ligue 1. They want to win the Champions League. The same with Bayern Munich. They are tired of winning the Bundesliga. They've won it 10 times on the trot. They need the Champions League. So the same thing with Man City. Man City are not left out of this conversation. Yes, we are leaving them out because they play good football, they are still in the running. But if they lose to Real Madrid, we will come back to this discussion and say they are yet to win the Champions League.
Yes.
So there has to be a structure that makes you win.
Another major issue Paris Saint-Germain are going to face going into the future. Manchester United are about to be bought by big money. Chelsea Football Club, even with all of the mishaps that have happened this season, going into the next decade, they're going to have plenty of big money to back them. Same thing goes for Manchester City, whom have had big money for a long time. Newcastle United are on their way, and there is potentially going to be there could be a potential big money purchase of even Barcelona in a couple seasons. It's very likely, given the financial woes of the club, they might be willing to sell a big chunk of the club off to someone who's willing to throw in a lot of money into the club. So Paris Saint-Germain are not going to have that hefty, big pockets as the main attraction that they've had for years and years and years now. They're not going to be the only ones who can pay the astronomical wages that only a nation-owned club can afford to pay. I wonder if Paris Saint-Germain, the era of Paris Saint-Germain's foray into the stratosphere of top elite clubs is coming to an end. Kylian Mbappe, 2 years. In fact, after this season, he probably only has one more season left on his contract, because it was a 2-year extension he was willing to sign. And if they don't sell him, and they've made it clear they're not really interested in selling him, they just wanted the prestige of having one of the very best players within their ranks. So if they don't sell him, come the end of next season, He's done. And when he's done, they're not going to make anything off of his transfer fee. He's going to go to Real Madrid because Real Madrid are Real Madrid, Hala Madrid. They are always going to be able to attract the very best players. Erling Haaland might be going there in a couple seasons as well. And right now, it seems like they are closing in on signing highly touted Borussia Dortmund and England midfielder Jude Bellingham. So they're about to accomplish another El Galactico purchase.
The thing is, when it comes to the big gun, PSG need to understand that, like you said, it's no longer going to be a monopoly anymore. I mean, look at second place Marseille, look at third place Lens, look at Lyon, look at Rennes. You know, these are the teams. I mean, if you even check the top scorers chart, you see players from these teams right there. Lacazette, who came from Arsenal, is in Lyon doing wonders, having 20 goals and 4 assists. Look at David, who plays for Lille, where Victor Osimhen came from. He had 21 goals and 4 assists. Ben Yedder from Monaco, you know, Folani Balogun, the Arsenal product, currently in Reims, scoring goals left, right, and center. So PSG need to understand that it's no longer going to be monopoly, especially when the next season comes and the transfer window is going to be open. Money is going to be open. People now understand that you need to buy players. So you will see clubs going all out. And if PSG are the one letting go of players instead of bringing in players that will change the tire, they should not be surprised to lose even the League One next season, not to talk of the Champions League.